story in Dodger baseball is that Tyler Glasnow has been activated. The Dodgers tweeted out just minutes ago. The Dodgers activated right-handed pitcher Tyler Glasnow and optioned right-handed pitcher Alexis Diaz in order to make room on the 40-man roster. The Dodgers placed right-handed pitcher Michael Kopech on the 60-day injured list. So we knew that Tyler Glasnow was going to make his return today. What we didn't know was that Michael Kopech was going to be transferred to the 60-day IL. By the way, Alexis Diaz, I hope you enjoyed your bullpen warm-up session yesterday because he's already been sent down. I did talk to a scout down in Oklahoma City that told me that personally they thought that Diaz hasn't looked great. They haven't liked how Diaz has looked, and that Fernandez actually had looked better, but they went with the experience and also the fact that they have something invested in Diaz. And I still think that we have to see what they have in him, if they've taken to some of these new mechanical changes. From what I've heard, they've made some tweaks to the slider and just trying to calm things down from that standpoint. But still, it is a major project that they're trying to hopefully take advantage of, because they've already invested a good amount of money and taken on what's remaining of his salary, which is almost $3 million this year. And then they're going to have to pay him in the offseason because he's still under team control for multiple seasons. But now let's talk about the surprise here, and that is Michael Kopech. That's the big story here. Kopech was placed on the IL on July 1st due to right knee inflammation. Dave Roberts said at the time that it would have been a brief stay. They were expecting a brief stay, that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be longer than that. He did receive an injection to address some of the discomfort in that knee, and the Dodgers, they are going to try to make sure that he's going to be okay when it matters most. So what ended up happening basically was that knee just was not cooperating, and you don't want to have him compensate, because if he's compensating, then there's a chance that he could injure another part of his body, namely his arm, right? So that's the last thing you want to see in that situation. So Michael Kopech is on the 60-day IL. The 60-day IL for Michael Kopech. And I think the big takeaway here from the start is you look at this Dodgers bullpen, the way it is laid out. And Tanner Scott, he had a rough start to his season, then went on a really nice stretch after he made some mechanical adjustments where his lower body was flying out. He told me that the mechanics were dog poop, not in those words, to start the year, and he made those changes and it paid dividends and he started to see better results. But the first major big blow was that you lose Evan Phillips for the season with Tommy John surgery. And then Blake Trinan, he goes down. And from what I was told yesterday is, hey, with Blake Trinan, of course, you guys know how they think of him. He's someone who already has proven himself time and again this organization. He was one of the big reasons why they were able to beat the Yankees there in Game 5, win that World Series. Well, Dave Roberts said a couple days ago that Trinan, with that forearm injury, is going to start a rehab assignment with AAA Oklahoma City on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Blake Trinan goes to AAA OKC to start that assignment. He's been out since mid-April with the right forearm sprain. He's going to need at least a handful of rehab appearances before he can rejoin that Dodgers bullpen, and he could be back to start the second half. So, of course, he won't see him today against Milwaukee. You won't see him in the 3 games in San Francisco. But the hope is that you do get some time and that he responds well. But from what I was told, the Dodgers are hoping to replace Evan Phillips and what he brought to the pen for what they were expecting from him, a high-leverage reliever, and then also a backup plan in the event that Blake Trinan, Michael Kopech, one of these guys just isn't able to go for whatever reason. So yesterday's show, if you watched it, it was dedicated for a large portion to trading for a reliever. And that's because I still wholeheartedly believe that if this team's going to go back-to-back, if they're truly all in, if you're 100% all in on the 2025 Dodgers, you need two things, an outfield bat and a high-leverage reliever. The name I threw out there yesterday, and I've been talking about it for months now, is David Bednar. We talked about him. We also talked about Aroldis Chapman as a potential name. Ryan Helsley is a name. I mean, we're talking about high-leverage guys, and that's what wins in the postseason. I think, hey, if this team truly has all the chips pushed into the middle of the table, has the pink slip to the car, the lien on the mortgage, the watch, the wife's earrings, if they have everything in on this season, then they're going to spare no expense. And you're already north of $400 million on this roster. You're already in the top tier when it comes to the luxury tax at 110%, well, then you need to be active, and now you have to give up some prospect capital to assure yourself that you are going to be in a great position to go back-to-back. Now, for me, I think the thing with Kopech is this is one thing after another at this point. He has had some bad luck. I talked to him during spring training, and he was sick in the offseason. His family got sick, and it kind of set him back from that standpoint. And then you just had things piling up. And when you're a guy that throws that type of gas, we saw him pumping 102 miles per hour with the Dodgers last season, well, then you're going to set yourself up for injuries. And sometimes what you do to your arm can affect your lower body, what your lower body can affect your upper body. All of these things are interconnected one way or the other. Now, the earliest that he can return from this right knee inflammation is on August 27th. So that's the earliest he can return. And he's already missed the Dodgers' first 64 games of the season. He worked his way all the way back from the right shoulder impingement that was from last October's run. Now, I've talked to a lot of players this offseason, early this season. If you saw my interview with Max Muncy, one thing I asked him was, hey, how special would it be to go back-to-back? How difficult that is that in a sport where we haven't had a back-to-back champion since the 2000 Yankees, hasn't been done by a National League team since the late 70s Cincinnati Reds. And one thing that I'm constantly reminded by these players is when you do play that extra month of baseball in October and you play it at such a high level, one player told me one game feels like 10 games. And I'm sure those World Series games even felt like more. And when you are emptying the tank for an entire month, and then on top of that, you have a shorter off season, then you go to Tokyo, so it's even shorter off season than even most World Series champions. Well, this is why it's very difficult to go back-to-back, because it's very difficult to keep your roster healthy the following season. Even guys that are in the lineup and in the rotation, in the bullpen, they are feeling that attrition, and you're seeing guys a little burnt out, right? And as it relates to Michael Kopech, the hope is that this is all veering on the side of caution. I think it's very evident now what this team's strategy is. And the strategy is guys can come back and pitch or play, but they're always going to keep pitchers out longer than position players. Because pitchers, once you lose them, they are done for the most part. Inflammation, shoulder, arm, Tommy John, whatever it may be, it's rare that those guys come back. And with someone like Michael Kopech, they know he's a key cog. They know he's a pivotal piece to what this team is going to do. Just look at what he did last season for this team. And the other thing, too, is, I mean, you look at just that performance, right? I mean, he was great last year, and then when he was originally placed on that 15-day IL on July 1st, it was backdated for the 3 days, so that's the maximum that you can do it. So, yeah, you were hoping that you were going to see him right after the All-Star break, but it is not going to happen. So that's the position they're in with Michael Kopech, August 27th at the earliest. Now let's get some more nuggets from what is going down.